My name is Sophie. I am 26 years old. And yes, I feel stupid for how long I stayed. It started with a message. One short message on social media. His name was Ben. He said, "Hi, I saw your photo. You look nice." I laughed when I saw it. I did not take it seriously, but I still replied. That small message changed everything. Ben was 29. He lived in the same city. He worked in a mobile shop. He liked football and fast food. He was not very smart, but he knew how to talk. He knew how to make a girl feel special. We started talking every day. I looked at my phone too much. Every time it beeped, I hoped it was him. Ben was funny. He said sweet things. He called me beautiful and my girl. After 2 weeks, he said, "Let's meet." I said yes. We met at a small park. He wore a red jacket. His smile was big. He gave me a flower. Just one. But I smiled like it was the best gift in the world. We sat on a bench near the trees. We talked for 2 hours. He asked me what music I liked. I asked him what food he liked. It was simple, but I was happy. After that day, I wanted to see him more. I liked the way he looked at me. I liked the way he laughed. Every Saturday we met. Sometimes we sat and talked. Sometimes we walked in the park. We did not go to restaurants or the cinema. Ben said he liked simple things. I said okay. I just wanted to be with him. I paid for the snacks. He said he forgot his wallet. I said, "No problem." I always made excuses for him. I told myself, he will pay next time. One evening, he held my hand. It was warm. It made me feel safe. The next week, he kissed me. It was short, but it made my heart beat fast. I told my friend Ellie about him. She looked worried. She said, "Be careful. He talks to many girls." I smiled and said, "No, not Ben. He likes me." But later, when I was alone, I thought about what she said. Ben never asked much about me. He did not know where I worked. He did not ask about my family. He did not ask what I liked. He only talked about himself. He only wanted to meet when he was free. Still, I smiled when I saw his name on my phone. I always waited for his messages. I always said yes when he asked to meet. I wanted him to like me. I thought, maybe I just need to be more fun, more kind, more pretty. One Sunday, we sat in the park again. Ben kept looking at his phone. He smiled a lot while typing. I asked, "Who are you talking to?" He said, "No one. Just a friend." But I saw the name on his phone. It said Hannah. I felt cold. I asked, "Is Hannah your friend?" He said yes. But his voice was not the same. He looked away when he said it. I wanted to believe him, but something felt wrong. That night I could not sleep. I looked at the ceiling and thought, what if he is lying? What if he likes someone else? I told myself, stop it. You are just scared. Ben likes you. He said so. The next day I asked, can I see your phone? He looked angry. He said, why? You don't trust me? I said, I do, but I feel confused. He stood up and said, you are crazy. You make problems for no reason. I said, I'm sorry. I always said sorry. After that, he did not text me for 2 days. Then he sent one message. Busy. Talk later. I waited all day. He did not call. He did not ask how I was, but I still waited. I always waited. On Friday, he said, let's meet tomorrow. I was happy again. I said, yes, I missed you. We met near the same park. He smiled and hugged me. I felt like everything was okay again, but it was not okay. One day, I went to his shop. I did not tell him. I wanted to surprise him. I saw him inside, talking to a girl. She was laughing. He was smiling at her. They looked happy. I stood near the door and watched. My heart beat fast. Then I walked inside. He saw me and looked shocked. He said, Sophie, what are you doing here? I said, I wanted to say hi. He looked nervous. The girl looked at me, then at him. She picked up her phone and walked out. I asked, who is she? He said, just a customer. But I did not believe him. I said, she looked close to you. He said, don't make drama here. I walked away. I felt my eyes burn. I wanted to cry, but not in front of him. I went home and locked my door. I sat on the floor and cried. I felt like a fool. I gave him my time. I gave him my heart. And he gave me lies. That night he messaged me. He said, you are too much. That girl means nothing. I did not reply. He messaged again. You are always sad. That's not my fault. Still, I said nothing. The next day he called. I picked up. He said, so now you are ignoring me. I said, yes. He said, you think you are special? There are many girls like you. I felt hurt, but I stayed quiet. He said, you were just fun for a while. I said, you used me, but now I see it. I will not be your fun anymore. He laughed and said, fine. Do what you want. I ended the call. I sat still for a long time. Then I stood up and cleaned my room. I put his gifts in a bag. I threw the flower in the bin. I removed his name from my phone. I looked in the mirror. My eyes were red. My face looked tired. But I also felt something strong. I did not cry for him again. I did not check my phone for his messages. I did not wait. I started going on walks alone. I started smiling at myself. I told myself, "You were kind. You were honest. He was not. That is not your fault." For a long time, I tried to be enough for him, but now I know the truth. He never tried to be enough for me. Before I share the rest of my story, I want to ask you something. Where are you listening from? Sometimes I wonder if someone out there truly hears me, someone who understands what I'm feeling. It gives me strength to know I'm not alone. So please tell me in the comments. The days after I stopped talking to Ben felt strange. My phone was quiet. My heart was still heavy. I wanted to feel better, but I did not. Every morning I looked at my phone. There were no new messages. And I remembered, he is gone. He will not text again. Some part of me still wanted him to say sorry, but I knew it would not happen. He did not care. He did not love me. He just played with my heart. I started walking alone after work. I walked slowly, thinking about everything. I asked myself, why did I let him treat me like that? I had no answer. One afternoon, I sat in the small park near my street. I looked around. The same bench, the same trees, the same place where Ben gave me that flower. I remembered how happy I was. I felt like crying again, but I stopped myself. I said in my head, "No more tears for him." I started thinking about the girl in the shop. Who was she? Did she know about me? Did he lie to her too? Maybe she also thought he was sweet and kind. Maybe she also paid for snacks and waited for his texts. I felt sad for her too. The next day, my friend Ellie came to see me. She brought coffee. We sat on my sofa. She looked at me and said, "You look tired." I said, "I am okay." She looked at me again and said, "No, Sophie, you are not okay. But it's fine. You don't have to be strong all the time." I felt my eyes get wet, but I smiled. I said, "I feel like a fool. I believed everything he said." She touched my hand and said, "You are not a fool. You just loved someone who did not love you back. That is not your fault." Her words felt warm. They helped me. After Ellie left, I made a small dinner. I sat at the table alone. I looked at the empty chair. I thought, I don't want to feel this pain forever. I wanted to move on. I wanted to feel strong again. But I didn't know how. At night, I lay in bed and looked at the ceiling. I remembered all the times I said sorry when I did nothing wrong. I remembered all the times I waited for Ben to call, and I thought, why did I think he was so special? Why did I forget about myself? The next morning, I woke up early. I made tea. I sat on the balcony and looked at the sky. It was clear and blue. I felt calm. I picked up my phone and deleted the last pictures of Ben. I did not cry. I just felt quiet. That week, I started doing small things for myself. I cleaned my room. I washed my bed sheets. I bought new tea. I watched a funny movie. I called an old friend and said hello. I walked to the park again, but this time I sat in a new place. There was a small girl with her dog. She waved at me. I smiled and waved back. The dog barked once, then sat down. I smiled again. It was the first real smile in many days. I thought, maybe life is not so bad. Maybe I will feel better again. At work, I started to focus again. I talked to people more. One of my coworkers, John, said, "You look better this week." I said, "Thank you. I'm trying." He smiled and said, "Trying is good." I smiled back. One evening, Ben called. I looked at the phone. My heart jumped. I did not want to talk to him, but I felt curious. I answered. He said, "Hey, how are you?" I said, "Why are you calling me?" He said, "I was just thinking about you. Do you miss me?" I felt my face go hot, yet I said, "No, I don't miss you. I miss who I thought you were, but that was not real." He laughed. "Come on, Sophie. Don't be like that. We had fun." I said, "Yes, we had fun. But you lied. You hurt me. I am done." He said, "You will miss me later." I said, "No, Ben. I already missed myself. Now I am finding me again." Then I ended the call. I sat still for a moment. I felt strong. I did not cry. I did not feel small. I felt proud. I finally said what I wanted to say. I told him the truth, and I did not want him back. That night I made pasta and played music. I danced a little in the kitchen. It felt nice. My body felt light. I thought, this is how it should feel. I should not be scared or sad all the time. The next day, I went to the same shop where Ben worked. I needed to buy a new charger. I saw him inside. He looked surprised. He said, "Oh, you came back." I said, "I just came to buy something." He said, "You look different." I said, "I feel different." I took the charger and paid. I said, "Goodbye, Ben," and walked out. I didn't look back. Outside the shop, the sun was warm. I felt free. I thought, I do not need to feel small anymore. I do not need someone to tell me I am special. I can feel it on my own. That weekend, I met Ellie again. We walked together and talked about simple things. She said, "You look happy." I said, "I'm getting better." She smiled and said, "I can see it." At home, I looked in the mirror. My eyes were not red. My face was soft. I said to myself, "You are kind. You are strong. And you will not let anyone break your heart again." I still remembered Ben, but now It felt like a story, a bad story, a lesson, not a wound. That night, I slept well. No sad dreams, no waiting, just peace. A few weeks passed. Life started to feel normal again. I no longer thought about Ben every morning. I no longer checked my phone, waiting for his name. I was still healing, but I felt stronger. I woke up early every day. I made breakfast. I went to work. I smiled more. I talked to my friends. I did not feel so heavy inside. I still had bad days, but I also had good days. And that was enough. One Sunday, I went to the park again. The air was cool. The sky was clear. I sat on a bench with a hot drink in my hand. I watched people walk with their dogs. I listened to the birds. I felt calm. A boy ran by and dropped his ball. I picked it up and gave it back. He smiled and said thank you. That small moment made me feel warm. I thought, small things are nice. I missed feeling this. Later, I saw a couple sitting near a tree. They were laughing. The girl put her head on the boy's shoulder. I looked at them and felt no pain. I didn't feel jealous. I didn't feel sad. I just thought, I hope she is loved for real. That was the moment I knew I was not the same Sophie anymore. At home, I started doing things I liked. I painted my small kitchen wall a light yellow. I moved the furniture. I bought a soft rug. I didn't do it for anyone else. I did it for me. One evening, Ellie and I went to a small cafe. We sat near the window. I told her, I feel like myself again. She smiled and said, You look happy, Sophie. I'm proud of you. I said, I was scared to let go, but now I'm more scared of losing myself again. The next week at work, something surprising happened. My coworker John asked me if I wanted to go for coffee after work. I looked at him and smiled. I said, Maybe next week. I was not ready, but I was also not scared. He said, Okay, no problem. Take your time. He smiled kindly. I liked that he did not push. That night, I thought about love. I asked myself, will I love someone again? The answer was yes. But I would not rush. I would not beg for care. I would wait for someone who saw me, someone who stayed. One day, I saw Ben again. He was standing outside the mobile shop. He was looking at his phone. He did not see me at first. I could have walked the other way, but I did not. I walked past him slowly. He looked up. His eyes met mine. I gave a small smile. Not a big one. Just soft and quiet. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, but I walked on. I did not stop. I did not want to hear his voice again. I had nothing to say. My story with him was finished. That evening, I sat on my bed and felt peace. I thought, I said nothing, And still, I said everything. Sometimes we wait for people to say sorry, but some people never do. And we must choose to forgive anyway. Not for them, for us. I no longer wanted Ben to say sorry. I no longer needed him to understand my pain. I understood it. I lived it. And now, I was past it. A few days later, I bought a small plant. I put it near the window. It was green and simple. Every morning, I gave it water. I said, "Grow strong." It made me smile. It reminded me of myself. I was growing again, too. One morning, I looked in the mirror and saw something different. My eyes looked clear. My skin looked soft. I touched my face and said, "You are doing good." I no longer said, "Why did he do that?" I started saying, "What do I want now?" I wanted peace. I wanted love. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to be with people who cared about me. I wanted to sleep at night without tears. I also wanted to care about myself. I spent so long trying to be enough for someone who never even tried. Now, I knew that I was already enough. One Saturday, I cleaned my room and found an old picture of Ben and me. I looked at it for a moment, then I tore it in half and threw it away. I felt no pain, just silence. I picked up my phone and sent Ellie a message. I wrote, "I feel light today." She replied, "That's because you're free." And I was. I no longer walked with my head down. I no longer felt like a fool. I was not weak. I was not broken. I had loved someone who did not love me back. That was true. But now, I loved myself more. And that was the new truth. If you liked my story, please like, comment, and share. More simple and emotional stories are coming soon.